Hey, welcome and thank you for joining us today. And that is the exit speech. It's not the intro. Cue Jason laughing at me. Seminole State family, welcome to Research Rally Live. We are faculty librarians at Seminole State College of Florida. I'm Nicole.
I'm Jason.
I'm Rob.
Oh, we messed that one up too.
And we spend the next 30 minutes doing research with you. We are about to search, sift, sort, and suss our way through several sources. As always, we want to hear from you in the chat, especially if you have a research question. But before we get into that, we want to find out what's going on at Seminole State this coming week. And for that, we have Andrea. Oh, watch out.
Oh, uh-oh. Yeah, check it.
So I have my sunglasses on, and I can't see a darn thing because I'm blind, but just to let you know that tomorrow is National Sunglasses Day, so you can stop by the ASC, the tutoring center, or the library on any of the campuses and get yourself a pair of these snazzy sunglasses. And now I'm going to change to my regular glasses so I can actually read what's going on. Also tomorrow, we got table tennis games going on in the game room here at Sanford Lake Mary. This weekend, there's a volunteer opportunity at the Sharing Center with the Seminole State Volunteer Group. So if you are interested, you can go on to Raider Connect, take a look at those things. Altamont coming to you next week on Tuesday. We've got some picnic and games going on, as well as the Stitching Circle. And Monday in Oviedo, have some coffee with Student Life. And there's some other things obviously going on all the time here at campus, all the campuses. So check out Raider Connect. Make sure you follow Nerdbird SSC on Instagram or Facebook, where we post all of our stuff as well. And don't forget to come grab your sunglasses tomorrow. That's about it going on.
Nice. Andrea out here throwing shades. There we go.
All
I'll
right,
put them
remember,
over my glasses so I can read.
Nice. That's the way I used to do it back in the day.
Classy.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Andrea.
bye. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
So remember to follow Nerdbird SSC on Instagram.
Nicole, can I give a quick weather report? I know it's not scripted.
Yes.
It's hot. Back to you, Nicole.
Okay, just in case you didn't know, it's hot.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm the sponsor.
Hey, Jason, you're the numbers man. How many viewers do we have?
Well, Nicole, it says 0 on our ticker, which means in this case, it's actually 0. Back to you, Nicole.
Okay. Maybe we'll get some views on the replay.
I saw one view come in, but it looked a little cyclopsy. I couldn't tell if it was 2 eyes looking at us or one. Back to you, Nicole.
Thank you, Jason. All right, so as we do every Wednesday, we're going to research a topic. We're going to narrate and model the research process, good research behaviors, and just have fun with it, learn something new, as we always do every day. And to join us today, we have an awesome special guest. Okay, so our topic this week is, does political polarization harm society? And I was like, one of our sociology professors would be clutch for this. So we invited Professor Rebecca Padilla, and here she is. Thank you for joining us today. All right.
I up my game when I come out with you guys. You always got props and cool backgrounds, and next time I come on, I'm gonna up my game. I promise.
You have that special door. You have that special door back there. That could lead to anywhere. So your background.
Thanks for having me. As always, you guys are awesome.
Yay!
And part of the reason we chose this topic is because I ran into you the other day, Rebecca, and you informed me that the biannual, twice a year social science video contest that happens every fall and every spring, again, biannual, the topic, a very timely topic for this fall, is going to be political polarization. So we're like, hey, let's introduce the theme and let's talk about this. And I think one of the first things, I'm not a sociology expert, so I'm like, what does literally society mean and what might constitute harm to society? We're always investigating our research questions for papers, projects, whatever it may be. Is it a good research question? And first step, do we need to rework it? Do we need to do anything with it? But we want to understand the terms that are in it. So can you give us like a definition of society? It seems obvious, but I don't think it is.
Okay, sure, no problem. So I think I've maybe mentioned before on this program when I've been on before that when we talk about society, we've also got to talk about culture because the two concepts are so intertwined. So when we think of culture, we think about the things of society, whether that's the material things or tangible things you can get your hands on, like jewelry or clothing or food. Those kinds of things are considered material culture. Or immaterial culture, things like our laws and our values and our beliefs, which sociologists are very interested in learning more about. When we look at society, we're talking about really the people and the institutions that make up the culture. So both people and institutions are very key there. Of course, in this particular case with this question, we're looking at the political institution. Do you want me to expand more on that, Nicole?
No, that's good.
Yeah, that really lays it out. So it's the people, it's like immaterial and material culture, and how like people interact with those things, and how
exactly. That's what society's interacting with the culture, or in creating the culture, creating those things.
And then Rebecca, how do we macro or micro? Is it Orlando area culture? Is it Seminole County culture, a society? Is it Florida society? Is it United States society? Where do we go from answering this question? Because we're students, we're trying to research this question. What is society? Which society?
Yeah. I mean, you're so right. Are we talking, how can we break it down? Like, are we talking about, a Latino society in the United States, the South, the North? There's so many different ways you can delineate that. Obviously, the macro take would be American society, but within American society, there's so much diversity you can break down further. So if you were going to do a project, you might want to reduce it down to a specific geographical location. It probably would be a good idea.
And go ahead, Nicole. You got?
No, you're good.
Oh, I was just going to say, how do we? Let's give a definition of polarization, right? We're not talking about the sunglasses that Andrea just had on a moment ago, polarized. We're talking about one side of the fence, or can you give us maybe your definition of what that would be? Because again, we're trying to research this topic. We're going to use this as our search terms and keywords. But I, as a student in this faux example, I'm not sure what polarization means.
Right. And honestly, I don't have the textbook definition, but how I would define polarization is that there's some kind of division in society, in our political system. That we have people that are polarized and opposite extremes. Usually when we talk about polarization, we're looking at just the two political parties, Democrats or Republicans, or conservatives and, I don't know, liberals, I guess. So the polarization between those two groups, particularly around a lot of things like social issues. That's one of the key things that seem to polarize people, are social issues. We tend to agree on other things oftentimes, but the social issues we tend to disagree on. And
nothing to do with polar bears, right? This is completely different than polar bear. Okay.
That's why I might take it North Pole versus South Pole. Who will win? That's
I like it, Nicole.
And this is it's a little bit of a joke, because this is kind of a tough topic, right? There's emotion behind it, and when we're doing research and doing papers and projects at college, and elsewhere, having conversations, we want to always keep one thing we always coach students is, you have to kind of separate your emotions out of like the information. You can recognize, okay, I have a certain emotion or opinion or bias in this topic, but what you want to do is separate yourself as much as you can from that, so that you can look objectively, or I guess you could say open-mindedly as possible, at all the information available to you for any topic that is, polarizing. See how I worked that in there? Yes. But okay, so
so let's go back to the prompt then. What do we think? Okay, so does political,
where do we start with this?
And we had polarization, we got that definition, and then harm. Ross, okay, so what would the harm, what does the harm be? Is that a fuse, and a lit fuse that ignites some sort of, I don't know, contentious verbalization or physical altercations? How would we deduce society would have been harmed? What's the harm?
I feel like my instinct is this topic is like kind of actually, we're on a good path, and but it's a little bit wide. It's like, I think like Rebecca was saying, we'd have to, what aspect of society, what area of society, what harm, we're going to have to I can search political polarization harm society right now, but I have a feeling it's just going to be a very oblique, or like just
right. And we are, if we are talking about the United States, I mean, we're a democratic society. Yeah. There should be open and civil discourse. So there.
Oh, that's a good key term, discourse. When we're talking about that, like, what are the keywords for places where political polarization is showing itself in society? Discourse is on TV, or we're talking about television newscasters. Maybe those are some of the terms that we would want to like use for searches to get specific about it. Because again, there's so many places it shows up, right? Like what are some of the other places it shows up? Political polarization.
Well, I mean, you can even take this too and go to a different country, and I think you might be able to hit this more on the head with a different country. Does political polarization in, say, you know, like a North Korea and something where there is no democracy, those people might get harmed. They might get taken off the streets or out of their houses in the middle of the night. That here, I would argue that there's, I don't know about polarization, but there's political divide, but we have the right and the freedoms based on the country and the laws that Rebecca was talking about to have those open discourse conversations and to be Democrat or Republican or independent. So I guess I'm just, how does that harm it? Other than when you get in a verbal match, you know, at Publix, or there's a, you know, a melee at the airport or something. I'm not sure by just having political differences. I don't know, Rebecca, you want maybe pick up where I left off? I think
maybe you could look at also on the micro level and macro level, like maybe polarization harms families, right? People can actually get into pretty serious disputes with family members and loved ones over politics. So is there harm there at more of the micro level, right? And at the macro level, I mean, I think Jason, you kind of touched on it in some of your comments. Does political polarization tend to shut down the dialogue between the two parties or the two different ways of seeing society, right? So if society becomes so polarized, we're not having conversations anymore. You know, you're over there and I'm over there, and we can't meet in the middle and have any conversations and dialogue about how we can sort of move forward together as a nation to sort of, I don't know, address the issues that are concerning to everybody, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, you might even, and I know Ross is digging around and stuff, I might even look at substituting just as maybe a sample, an additional search, instead of harm, maybe mute society. Because I'm thinking of things like Thanksgiving and the Christmas and Hanukkah, all the holidays where people, now you have two sides of the fence, right? You either go on Facebook and you're like, oh, the opposition, I don't like them, and here's why. Or you're like, bruh, I don't want to talk to you. The only thing I want to do is go in the voting booth by myself and vote. I don't want to have any conversation with you for fear or trepidation or, you know, inciting anything. So, right, you kind of have those two. So I would argue that maybe political polarization mutes or kneecaps or you know, some sort of negative, you know, something, some sort of negative.
On that.
I don't know. What do we got, Ross? Anything?
Well, popping in, before we head to Ross, I previously said the word oblique. I meant to say obtuse, I think. Here's an example really quick of an instance in the research process that shows that your topic might be like too wide or not specific enough. I searched in the library catalog, Political Polarization Harm Society. We don't need to type in the exact sentence, okay? And what I'm seeing here is at the beginning of my list of results, which is not that many, only 40, so that's telling. It's like all these different things that kind of don't seem to relate to each other. I got a poetry book. I've got, I've had the phrase, yeah. And I'm like, this is telling me, yeah, we might need to drill down to something more specific. And on that note, Rebecca mentioned family, and I think that relates to Jason, what you said. But Ross, yeah, what have you been looking at over there?
I was going the same direction that you guys are talking about right now. Is when I was kind of searching around, trying to just kind of find an angle to explore there. I think you're right in that the harm needs to either harm something, or, you know, we need to drill down deeper. Like, I mean, if we were looking at like, how does it harm, like how does it shape identity or something like that, you can find sources that look at it. Or if you look at like the harm of, I don't know, I saw a lot on identity, things like that, but there has to be a variable to it, right? Because harming society is so massive that I don't think there's anything to really sink our teeth into when we're talking about it.
Well, if I want to do a new search in the library catalog, we've got this handy dandy button. Instead of clicking the back button, I can click on new search at the top of the screen. This is the library catalog. It's linked from Seminole State College Library website. So political polarization family.
Full stop. No, just
what do you want me to search?
I don't know. Let's just see what political polarization comes up, because
Okay.
I think you can even twist this around and cancel the sentence you have and just put in different words. What are the effects of political polarization in American society, or in the United States, or in the USA, and see what it is. And you see that right on the top there, the psychology in the book form of political polarization. 21. It's a couple years old, and we're coming up on a new election now. I doubt that has any of the remnants after the last election, because it was probably in print by 2020. So I'd want to look for something more new here. So Nicole, maybe I'd go over to the resource types and see if I can get some peer-reviewed journal articles or something else. But yeah, just something like, what are the effects, or what effects? Because we've already brought that up. Rebecca brought up a great point. It's going to be on the personal conversations, the interpersonal. You go to the bank teller, you go to the post office, you go to the Publix checkout line, and all of a sudden somebody just says, "Oh, I'm not voting for them," and then someone says, "What? That's my hero, and you're not voting for them, and I'm going to throw my food down and walk out." Like, people are really stressed out, and I think tomorrow night is a big debate, and we have a big election that's coming up, and hence the subject for our social science video contest. It's nice congruence there. It's all happening, but there's no chill pills anymore, guys. Nobody's taking a chill pill and just like, remember back in the day, you just have a chill pill and everybody just relax it. Now it's like, everyone wants to say their views. They want to mix it up.
Sure, but anecdotally, I've kind of gathered, like, I think I've been hearing people talk about maybe not voting, and I think that's a concern. Like, some people are concerned that people are just going to like throw up their hands. So I think that kind of factors into like kind of the landscape of what we're expecting maybe
and you
to
just
see.
You just added a new bullet point to your research paper, Nicole. We did not mention that. So it affects family communications. I think it affects civil discourse or civic discourse, something in the society here where you're going to the post office or your local area. And then I think it also affects a no vote. Right? Somebody's just going to say, I'm out, I'm not going to do it. And that's not really the case. Or they might just say, you know what, I'm going to vote independent. I'm going to try to mix it up and try to do that and try to like sabotage these elections that way, which we had with a Ralph Nader a couple years ago. And then I think we had a Ross Perot back in the day
Ross
too.
Perot. Woo!
Yeah.
Bringing it back, Jason.
Bringing it back. The Green Party.
And so back on the screen on the library catalog. So word to all of our budding researchers out there, or experienced researchers that might not know where to go. I have the subject category. I'm curious if like family or one of these other topics is in here. Subject category, if you start out kind of general, this is one way to like narrow in on a more specific part of your topic that you're searching or wanting to do. Of course,
I was just going to say it's interesting too, because you would have to think as you were framing it, the researchers or future researchers, what about the future voters? Where are they getting their information from unless there's political polarization? Otherwise, it's lopsided and it's one thing all the time. It's just like my views, my views, my views, my views. And again, part of the American democracy, part of what's supposed to happen is somebody else says their views, my views, their views. And you go, okay. Now I'm an adult. I'm of age in this country. I'm allowed to vote at this age. And I'm going to take all this information and synthesize it and then make my own opinion based on the facts or the evidence or even just the people that I know. So that would go against our prompt of does it harm, in that case, that divide or that conversation, if you will. Hopefully it's amenable to everybody and there's no fistfights or yelling, would actually help society. Would you agree from a sociological point of view there, Professor Padilla?
I mean, absolutely. I would absolutely agree with that. There's so much to say, but Nicole, one of the things that you hit on earlier is this idea of what sociologists call value neutrality in research. Like you want to remain as objective as possible when you're studying anything, particularly something like political polarization. So I think I'm losing my train of thought, but Jason, I was thinking about this because I was thinking about the fact that if a sociologist were to take on this topic, they would probably try to figure out how polarization harms society. So they would do interviews, they would do surveys and see what people are saying and how they think polarization, impacts society. And then you could take kind of their data, what they found, maybe they found these 5 things harm our society because of political polarization. And then you could pick out one of those things and then actually write an essay on it or make a presentation on that. Let's say we do something like, does political polarization impact voting practices? Maybe they found that, yes, people, like Jason said, get to the point where they're like, I don't want to vote anymore, I'm done. So you can then take that and try to, do some research to find out if it does in fact indeed do that.
Or maybe there's gerrymandering on the other side of the fence too. Maybe they can't vote because they've been kicked out, or because they've squashed the voting boundaries or the lines, or they tell people, hey, make sure to show up for the election on November 84th. It's like, what date is that? Why'd you tell me the wrong date? Oh, well, because it's part of the system and it's all going in that direction. Yep,
right.
Gotta be careful.
Right. But maybe the word harm is the one that's kind of throwing us all
off.
I
think so.
We could change it to like impact. How does it impact society? And then that's even too broad. How does it affect people?
Yep.
Again, micro level, like in your family, at your career where you're working. How does it impact our social institutions, like our political system, our education system? Because again, remember, society is the things of society, including things like our values and our beliefs. Are our values and beliefs being sort of impacted by these things as well?
And I imagine everything in Washington, D.C. is politically polarized, as daily, as important as oxygen and water in that city. So once again, you can't avoid it. It's just, well, what are the effects? So I think we're landing on effects there somehow, or impact.
Right. And now I remember what I wanted to say, Jason, and you're right on what you said about in terms of political polarization. We tend to think of it in a negative way, but does it have some benefits as well? Do we all want to think the same way? Do we all want to? That would be kind of scary, right? But we all thought then we would be in North Korea, right?
Right.
We don't want to all think the same way. We want to value our democracy.
Okay. Because if you ask 10 people on the street, do you like cats better or dogs better? And I heard a dog, and I'm guessing you might be a dog person. If 50% of them say I like cats way better, and 50% say dogs, like that's natural. Like it's natural to have like a split on opinions. But I think the worry is if the polarization is like and politically speaking, political polarization, if it's so intense and what's that word when things get really nasty? It's a fancy word for when things get people are really
WWE wrestling, MMA wrestling.
Yeah, that part.
MMA.
That's where we really, really worry about it.
Well, because people then reinforce it and say, well, you're wrong. It takes a slant. It gets out of, again, that civic discourse that we're just having a conversation and somebody has a feeling or somebody has an emotion, and then it takes a weird, nasty turn, and now the police are being called, or now somebody's grabbing somebody's hair or something. Oh, sure, vitriolic.
Vitriol. Sure. Okay, vitriolic. Okay. Real quick on this, since we have two viewers. Through a sociological lens, in the subject tool that's on the side of most search pages at any college library, I'm going to click on sociology and think of subject terms as almost like you like hashtag something on a social media post. It's like definitely about that thing that's the hashtag. So that helps us narrow it down a little bit more. And I could definitely add in one of our other buzzwords that we think is really going to help us: impact, effects, but we could do impact. I could add family here. Again, I'm using some different tools, trying different keywords, replacing them in, replacing them out. That is a normal part of the research process. And I'm also using, again, this subject. See, I narrowed it down, but now I can narrow it down even more using this if I would like. The subject tool really helps people find keywords they didn't even know existed for their topic, among other things. So
where did we land, Ross? What did you mix and match on your keywords? Did you find anything else?
I was playing with individual variables. I think that's the way I would approach this. If I was looking to describe how it was impacting society, I think I would look at things like, the identity kept coming up. I keep seeing a lot about like political issues, how polarization is impacting like people's views on race and gender and all this kind of stuff. So I think you'd have to get a little bit more granular to really answer the question effectively.
One of the things we teach in the LAS 2004 course is we talk about the information cycle or the information timeline. And so what that means is, where are you getting your information from? How is it coming at you? And of course, we have our phones and our laptops and the microchips in our head that's distributing all this information all the time. But where is it? Is it on social? Is it on televised news? Is it in an old school newspaper? Is it in a journal? Like, where are you getting this information from? Is it on TikTok? And then from there, I could start an argument that medium, whichever one you chose, could harm society, right? Too much cable news outlet all the time, on all the time, on all the time, yeah, ad nauseum. Or I'm just on my Facebook and socials, and I know Nicole, oh, she had to get a new haircut, and Ross had to tell me about the new shirt. So I'm going to go political and go brr, 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 political. Anyone who disagrees with me, block. And once again, now I'm coming out a new angle on, I believe that can harm society. And it's barely touching on the political polarization. It's more on the political sort of propaganda or the output of the messaging, which I think is mighty dangerous as well. You know, we've really kind of overdone it when they didn't really think about it. When Tim Berners-Lee invented the internet in 1995, he really didn't think that we were going to do this.
Yeah,
oh, sorry,
like
library
recipes,
science.
Everyone can share recipes now.
Yeah, and we can send an electronic mail to one another. Yes, but now it's just like, you're wrong, you're out, or I'm going to be enraged by your thoughts. It's gotten real out of hand, but we haven't even talked about social or any of the information pipeline of where you're getting this from. And I think that can be a conduit to that vitriol that you spoke of before.
Yeah. So we had the opportunity, we had some high school students that were part of a, like kind of like almost a job shadowing or finding out information about the programs at Seminole State. They're attending a camp this summer at Seminole State. And they came through a few times and hung out in the library and did fun stuff that we do in the library, like Xbox and all that stuff. And we did an activity the other day, and I asked them, do you think that arguing over politics is bad for our country? So we want to hear what young people think about this, because I knew we were doing our little show today. So I'm going to activate my scissors into knife mode. And here are their answers. I'm going to read out a couple. Right? This is I haven't seen that, and we won't read all of them, but I am going to post them up in the library. And these are young people in our community. I'm wondering if maybe some of them might have talked about families, like, you know, witnessing family conversations in here. So while I open this up, back to you, Jason.
Hey, back to you, Ross.
And Rebecca.
Well, that is kind of the beauty of research, Jason, right? That when maybe you pick a topic and you pick, you know, I'm going to focus on this, and then you go in and start looking at the database and reading things, you could go in a completely different direction. And that's kind of the beauty.
That's natural.
Agreed. And I think another thing that is really creeping in here, and we haven't touched on it, and I think if we were looking at this from our research paper, usually I would do like 1, 2, and 3. That's kind of the way my brain works, is an A, B, and C on what I would kind of pull out. But AI should come into this conversation as well, because now AI is being used for political propaganda and deep fakes more so than it was for the last 2 elections. And of course, we had meddling in the two elections, before. It's happening even more now, and I think that people are seeing all of these deep fakes and all of these phony images and people telling them stuff. That's going to cause a real hindrance. It's going to be a very you got something.
I got
good?
some hot takes right here.
Hot takes from the youth of Seminole County.
Arguing over politics is not, here it is right here, is not bad for our country. The reason I think is because we need to argue about what is right or just in our country. There is a lot of things our leaders don't talk about. We need those people to pursue or I don't know, and speak up on the problems that they don't mention. So they're calling out the people that are being voted for. Like, no, we should be conversing and considering what's not being conversed about. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Argue and start. I think fighting over politics is bad because it makes people argue and start to dislike each other. And some families split over them.
Yeah.
Boom, there it is.
There it is.
I think we had a war one time about that. I think it was a civil war. Anybody remember that? It was a couple days ago.
A couple days ago. Oh, no, I don't think it's bad because arguing is a good way to judge the country and know which side is wrong or right from the point of view. Okay.
And I'll just come in on that one with the word argue. I mean, it should be a debate or a conversation, and maybe it's in reverse order. I think the conversation starts, and then maybe depending on the forum, it could lead to a debate. Again, they're going to try to do a presidential debate tomorrow night. Everybody can tune in to that on the television sets.
Jason,
and see how
did
that
you
works.
just say try? I like how you said that. You just said they're going to try to have this debate.
I don't know how that.
Was that
I don't know. No, I think that was intentional. And but the argument again is kind of the culmination of everything we've said. The argument is directly correlated to the harm. That's the problem. There's no argument right now. We're talking, but somebody takes the wrong turn, and now we're in an argument. Mm-hmm. So that's where tempers are flaring.
This young person said, yes, I think it does harm the country because the two sides basically say the same thing, but in different words. And that gets the nation divided into two sides over what's going on to help the nation out more. I mean, okay, it's like hard to read. I mean, this is
good feedback.
All right. Yes. All right. Well, thank you.
Good students popping in.
I gave them candy bars I said, if you really want the full size candy bar, you have to give me an answer. So I said,
maybe that's why you couldn't read it, Nicole. It was all sugar. It was written by sugar.
Well, thank you so much for everyone for joining us today on Research Rally. And thank you again, Professor Padilla. Seminole State family, stay tuned because you will see more and more information on socials and the website and other things for the social science video contest, which again is going to be today's topic. It's based on political polarization. And a lot of the topics we talked about today, students will be drilling down into those topics. And guess what? If you're an enrolled student, you can submit, or you can, why can't I think of the word? Compete in that contest and bring some solutions and with a video project and be featured. And if you are first, second, or third place, you will get money towards tuition. So that's a super bonus besides being part of this conversation and getting more involved at the college. So yeah, great opportunities coming up.
And we gave a lot of suggestions on where to go here. This is a pretty good example on where you could really drill down on your sociological research for this assignment and this contest. So rewatch, comment.
Yeah.
And before we sign off, we want to remind viewers that, hey, we are research librarians. We are here to assist you with research citations and information needs. There's no question too big, no question too small, no question too weird. We want to hear it all. We can save you time. We can save you stress. So why haven't we heard from you yet? You can make research appointments with a librarian at Seminole State College of Florida. You can also use our 24/7 chat, and those and other methods of communication with us to get assistance are available on our library website. And like I would show you, there it is.
Yay!
There's our library website. So so don't forget to get in touch with us so we can help you. All right. Thank you again, Professor Padilla.
Thanks for having us.
It's always a pleasure. Awesome. All right. And hey, Jason, do you think I should play an outro video?
Maybe we should. Maybe it's the end of the show and that would be an opportune time. That makes sense. Yes.
Okay. Here we go.